Could this become a reality? Andrew Wiggins wearing the purple and gold. Well, I'll say this. Over the last 48 hours, I feel like Andrew Wiggins' trade rumors to the Los Angeles Lakers have heated up a little bit here. And the reason why I think that is because there is just so much national discussion of a potential trade. You see it happening with a bunch of Lakers reporters. You see it with some Heat reporters. You see it with Kevin O'Connor. Like, when you see this much smoke around a potential deal happening and what the trade compensation should be, what is Andrew Wiggins' trade value, to me, there's a saying where there's smoke, there's fire, and there is a lot of smoke around Wiggins heading to the Lakers. So to me, this is something that really might come to fruition, and we got to talk about it. But we are having a daily sub battle with no one else other than the Lakers report here by Chat Sports. A trade could go down between the two teams, but let's take them down in our sub battle. 0-0 starting today. Let's see who gets the most subscribers today. Wiggins with the Heat, it was an interesting year, right? He gets traded. He was the headlining player from the Warriors in that Jimmy Butler package. The issue with Wiggins was really not his play on the court in the regular season. You see the raw numbers on the left side of your screen. They were good. The issue with Andrew Wiggins is that, one, he played in 17 out of 33 games possible in the regular season, and then in the 4 playoff games where the Heat got embarrassed by the Cleveland Cavaliers, well, he was a no-show. You see how bad he was in terms of his raw production and efficiency. And here's the thing as well. Wiggins is a good basketball player. But there has been so much discussion of this Heat front office and organization going towards a youth movement, playing more Kel'el Ware, Jovic, Jaquez even, Kasparas Yakachonis. And if you are seriously committing to a potential youth movement, Andrew Wiggins, who is close to being 30 years old, needs to be traded because he is currently blocking more playing time for Jovic, Jaquez, Pallel Larson, Kashad Johnson. But you also need to trade Terry Rozier too. But we're only talking about Wiggins on this episode of the Heat Report. And the part where we're going to start with here on Wiggins trade rumors is that apparently the Heat have a pretty steep asking price for Andrew Wiggins. And there are different opinions on what Miami should be asking for in return for Andrew Wiggins. But Jovan Buha, who is one of the top, if not the top reporter that covers the Los Angeles Lakers, reported the other day on his live stream that he doesn't know if Gabe Vincent, Maxi Kleber, Shake Milton, and a first-round pick gets you Andrew Wiggins. I've shared what I've heard, which is that Miami has been asking for a first-round pick and Dalton Knecht, the Lakers' first-round pick from a year ago. I think they also want Rui Hachimura, too, because they want to remain competitive. I know a lot of Heat fans are like, well, if a first-round pick unprotected from the Lakers is on the table, they should just take that regardless of the other expiring salaries coming with it. But I'll tell you this. This is the one time I like this front office being a little bit stingy in a trade. And I'll explain why here more in just one second. But will the Heat trade Andrew Wiggins? Predict it for me. It's the pinned comment on today's show. So if you get with the YouTube ad break, scroll down, let it play, and answer the question. Type Y for yes, type N for no. Will Miami ultimately trade Andrew Wiggins? The reason why I'm fine being a little bit stingy here with a Wiggins trade is that I don't think Wiggins is what Miami needs. I mentioned that with the rebuild and leaning into a full youth movement. But he is still a good asset. I am not trading Andrew Wiggins for bad value in return. We have talked a lot about the Heat's poor managing of assets, losing Duncan Robinson for no draft capital. Same thing with Gabe Vincent, Max Strus, Caleb Martin. Like, there has just been too many instances where Miami ultimately lets a player go in free agency that they don't get enough value back in a trade that they could have done. Well, this is the same thing with Miami with Wiggins. Don't trade him to the Lakers because you just want to get rid of him on your roster. Make sure you get fair capital in return. And to me, the Los Angeles Lakers could actually be desperate to get a trade done for Andrew Wiggins, which is why I'm absolutely fine holding out and trying to get maybe Knecht and a first-round pick. Why do I think they are desperate? Well, they are in a 2-year window here. It might be a 1-year window if LeBron James is serious about this being his final year in the Lakers roster and organization. They signed DeAndre Ayton. You look at that starting lineup. They have Austin Reeves and Luka in the backcourt. They have LeBron and DeAndre in the front court. But they have no starting wing that connects the two. That's where Andrew Wiggins would come into play. You talk about a spacing wing that can defend right in between those front court and backcourt duos. Wiggins could be the best fit for the Los Angeles Lakers. Another player could be Herb Jones, but the asking price from New Orleans for Herb Jones might ultimately be higher than Miami's for Andrew Wiggins. Let's kick it back to Jovan Buha here, because he believes that Wiggins is the best wing available with the realistic Lakers assets. Buha would not want to give up Knecht and a first for Wiggins, but he would be willing to do either one. He could do Rui, Maxi, and Knecht, or Rui, Maxi, and a first for Wiggins. Buha said he would do any of those trades. And I know some people might be curious to see what my thoughts are on a potential trade with Andrew Wiggins and the Lakers, on what I would be willing to take back and what I would want in return for the wing. Well, I actually feel pretty similar to Buha in terms of what the Lakers should be giving up. If the Heat trade Wiggins to Los Angeles, which I think they ultimately do, I am absolutely fine getting just one of Dalton Knecht or a first-round pick. Do I think Miami might be able to hold out and get both? Maybe. I think it's a little bit more unrealistic. But if you're getting a player that is valued as a first-round pick in Dalton Knecht and a first-round pick or a first-round pick, I'd be happy. Like, think about this just a year ago at the trade deadline. The Lakers traded a first-round pick and Dalton Knecht plus salary to the Hornets for Mark Williams. Now, is Mark Williams a center who is a bigger position of need at the time for Los Angeles? Sure. But I would consider Andrew Wiggins in a vacuum a better basketball player than Mark Williams, and maybe more of a contributing force. So you can go back to Rob Pelinka in LA and say, hey, you were willing to trade Knecht's salary and a first for Mark Williams. Andrew Wiggins is better than Mark Williams. Why don't you just send that same exact package to us and we'll get a deal done? So I could see why Pat Riley in the front office in Miami would be willing to hold out for that. And coming up here in a second, I mentioned I'm cool with one of Knecht or a first-round pick. I don't need both. I would be through the roof if we got that, but I only need one. We're going to look at 3 different trades that kind of showcase what it would be in each specific order. But before we get into that, we had a sub-battle earlier. I want to make it abundantly clear, if the Miami Heat end up trading Andrew Wiggins at any point this offseason, we will be going live on the channel to break it down and react. So subscribe, turn on notifications, and don't miss any of our Heat content we put out, because it's daily and we go live for the big news. Let's get into those Andrew Wiggins trade idea now. So we have 3. We have one that gets us a first-round pick, one that gets us Dalton Knecht, and one that gets us both. And then we'll look at which trade I think we'd all rather do and come to a conclusion. Well, the first Lakers trade is the one with the first-round pick. It's Rui Hachimura, Gabe Vincent, and a 2031 first-round pick for Wiggins. Miami takes in about $1.1 million more in salary, but they get 2 expiring contracts. Rui at 17.8, Gabe Vincent at 11.5. Wiggins has 2 years left, player option following this season, but Miami would then get a first-round pick to add to its draft capital to potentially use in a trade or use for the future. And they get expiring salary, which would then create over about $65-70 million in free money coming off your books next off season. So there is a lot of incentive to do a deal like this. This is the one where you just get Dalton Knecht, where you trade Wiggins for Maxi Kleber, Gabe Vincent, and Dalton Knecht. Maybe you get Rui instead of Vincent or instead of Kleber, but to make it more kind of worth it salary-wise for Miami, I think it would be these 3. Now, I do want to make it clear in any deal here that Miami takes in more players in return, they would likely either have to waive a player or reroute one of them and make it a multi-team deal due to the Heat having already 15 max roster spots. But you get the young player in Knecht who could replace Duncan Robinson in a very perfect way. I mean, I think Knecht in Miami's scheme could just really, really transcend to an unbelievable player in this league. So I am high on receiving Knecht. We'll talk more about that here in a second. That's this one. The third one, which I think is going to intrigue a lot of people. The Heat get the Dalton Knecht in first-round package that they might be asking for. They also get Rui Hachimura and Gabe Vincent. Miami gives up Haywood Highsmith alongside Andrew Wiggins. So you get rid of two wings. You get expiring salary in Hachimura and Vincent, but you get the first-round pick you were looking for, and you get a young player in Dalton Knecht for two solid rotational wing players that go to Los Angeles. I think I really like this one, but I want to know yours. Which trade is your favorite? Is it number one, where you get first-round pick and expirings? Is it number two, where you get the young Dalton Knecht and expiring salaries? Or is it number three, where you get expirings, first-round pick, young player, but you also have to attach Haywood Highsmith to Andrew Wiggins to get a deal done? I am without a question full on, can we make number three happen, please? Like, for the love of God, I think I wouldn't slander Pat Riley for a year if he was able to get Knecht, a first, and those two expiring contracts for Highsmith and I don't know why I just said Highsmith like twice, but Haywood Highsmith and Andrew Wiggins. Why is that such a big one for me? Because Haywood is an expiring contract yourself. He's coming off your books at $5.6 million after the year. But he also takes up space from the young guys. We're talking about trying to go more young. Like, how are you going to play Jaquez, Kashad Johnson, Pallel Larson, Jovic, all when you still have Haywood Highsmith and Andrew Wiggins? So you can get a first-round pick, expiring money, and a young shooter in Dalton Knecht to replace Duncan Robinson. Yes, please, sign me up for that all the way. Most of y'all know, if you've been with the channel for a year or more, that I am all in on Dalton Knecht. I think he's an awesome basketball player. I had him as my 7th player on my big board in the 2024 NBA draft. And when Miami was on the clock at 15, I was absolutely stunned that Knecht was still on the board. I tweeted out when the Heat were on the clock, they should be taking Dalton Knecht here. They obviously went with Kel'el Ware, which I'm happy about because he has been really, really good to start his NBA career. But he is a really good movement shooter. He's 6'6", he's lengthy. Is he a struggling defender? Yes, but I still think he's a better defender than what Duncan Robinson is. He's a better off the or on the ball creator than Duncan, with the ball in his hands and making dribble moves and making an ISO move. But he could still provide you a lot of the off-ball movements and actions that Duncan Robinson gave you. He would be unbelievably good in Miami. He would thrive. I think he would be unlocked with Erik Spoelstra, and this Heat team lacks shooting, so this would be the best of both worlds. You get a young player that fits your timeline in Dalton Knecht, but you also get a player that is replacing Duncan Robinson because you have a really, really bad group of shooters right now off the bench, in my opinion. All right, that'll do it for today's show. If you want more around the Heat, make sure you follow me on Twitter at Nic_Rohloff. We will have you covered. And if any trade or move goes down with Miami, we'll break it down and cover you first over on Twitter before we make a video and go live on the channel. So follow me on Twitter.